Indonesia has over 17,000 islands, but 90% of its billionaire wealth is concentrated in just a few locations. Why? The answer exposes the real reasons some families control the country's economy. From energy tycoons in Sumatra to manufacturing giants in Java, we're ranking the 10 richest Indonesian families and showing exactly where their $150 billion combined fortune comes from. Number 1 has twice the wealth of number 2, and that's just the beginning. But before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and if you have any thoughts about what we're discussing here, especially if you live in Indonesia, we'd love to hear them in the comments down below. 10. Dewi Kam, $4.8 billion. Coming in at number 10, Dewi Kam has $4.8 billion from energy, and she did something most Indonesian billionaires would never do. She built her entire fortune in East Kalimantan, one of Indonesia's least developed regions. That's crazy when you think about it. While all the other rich people fight over Java, Dewi's company, PT Bayan Resources, operates massive coal mines in East Kalimantan, a place most wealth rankings completely ignore. East Kalimantan has 28% of Indonesia's coal reserve, but only 1% of the country's billionaires live there. The math doesn't add up, right? Here's where it gets interesting. Even though Dewi makes all her money from Kalimantan's resources, her company headquarters sits in Jakarta's financial district. All those mines are in Kalimantan, but the money flows straight back to Java. This is actually super common in Indonesia. The outer islands have all the natural resources, but 90% of the profits end up in Java. The mining happens in places like Kalimantan, but the money goes somewhere else. Dewi's story shows exactly how Indonesian billionaires use this geographic trick. They mine in resource-rich islands where land is cheap and regulations are loose, but keep all their profits in Java's financial centers. It's like having your cake and eating it too, but the outer islands, well, they just get the crumbs. 9. Charul Tanjung, $5.2 billion. At number 9, we've got Charul Tanjung, worth $5.2 billion. This guy started with just $300 in Jakarta and built this massive CT Corp empire. That's like turning a phone into a mansion. What makes Tanjung different from other rich Indonesians? He didn't just stay in one spot. Most billionaires in Indonesia keep 70% of their business inside Java's borders, but not this guy. His trans retail stores are literally everywhere, all 34 provinces across 5 major islands. That's coverage most billionaires don't even try to get. While other wealthy families avoid places like Sumatra, Sulawesi, Kalimantan, and Papua, Tanjung went all in. His trans TV network reaches 230 million Indonesians on pretty much every island. That's serious influence beyond Java, where most billionaires stay comfortable. This strategy actually saved him during the 2008 economic crisis, when Java's economy was struggling. His businesses in the outer islands kept growing at 15% annually. Talk about having a safety net. His whole approach shows how much untapped potential exists in Indonesia's outer islands. Think about it. 45% of Indonesia's population live in these places, but they only get 10% of billionaire investments. That's a huge missed opportunity most rich people ignore. Tanjung basically looked at a map of Indonesia and said, "I'll take all of it," while everyone else just fought over Java. 8. Tahir and family, $5.3 billion. Number 8 on our list is Tahir and his family with $5.3 billion from the Mayapada Group. This guy's strategy is totally different and kind of wild when you think about it. He put almost everything he owns in one city, Jakarta. As stated, Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands, but Tahir built 90% of his business empire in a tiny 30-mile radius in Jakarta. That's like having a huge buffet, but only eating from one plate. His Mayapada hospital chain has 8 locations, and guess what? 6 are in Jakarta. One is in Jakarta's suburb, Tangerang, and just one lonely hospital sits in Surabaya, Java's second biggest city. This extreme concentration in Jakarta isn't just a Tahir thing. About 65% of all Indonesian billionaire money is packed into just 0.07% of the country's land. That's insane when you think about it. All that wealth in an area smaller than most cities. Here's the problem this creates. Jakarta's wealth attracts more investment, which makes more growth, which attracts even more investment. It's a cycle that keeps going and going while the outer islands get left behind. Lohia's Jakarta-only approach shows why Indonesia has some of the worst regional inequality in Asia. The richest region, Jakarta, is literally 14 times wealthier per person than the poorest region, East Nusa Tenggara. So while Jakarta gets skyscrapers and luxury malls, other regions can barely get basic infrastructure. 7. Argos Projo Jasmito, $7 billion. Number 7 on our list is Argos Projo Jasmito with $7 billion from metals and mining. This guy did something totally different. He built his fortune on Sulawesi, an island most Jakarta billionaires completely ignore. While 80% of Indonesian billionaires fight over Java and Sumatra, Projo Jasmito's Trimagar Group runs these massive nickel mines in Sulawesi. That's an island with 10% of the world's nickel reserves, but only 7% of Indonesia's population. He basically found a gold mine that nobody was looking at. His strategy hit the jackpot in 2020 when Indonesia banned raw nickel exports. Suddenly, his processing facilities in North Sulawesi became super important for the global electric vehicle battery supply chain. Everyone needed what he had. The government's export ban literally changed where money flows in Indonesia. Sulawesi's share of billionaire wealth jumped from just 2% to 8% in 3 years. That's a huge shift in a country where money usually stays in Java. Projo Jasmito's success shows this clear pattern. The richest Indonesians who make money in outer islands almost always do it through natural resources, not services or manufacturing. That's why Indonesia's eastern islands stay stuck as extraction economies, while Java gets all the factories and service jobs. This creates this weird two-speed economy where Java gets more developed while islands like Sulawesi just get their resources taken. Projo Jasmito got rich from it, but the island itself stays poor. 6. Sri Prakash Lohia, $8.7 billion. Number 6 is Sri Prakash Lohia with $8.7 billion from Indorama Corporation. This guy broke the standard Indonesian billionaire playbook in a very big way. He built manufacturing wealth outside of Java, which almost nobody does. So let's have a look at this. 75% of Indonesia's manufacturing happens in Java, but Lohia put these huge petrochemical plants in Sumatra instead. That created thousands of jobs in places that usually just get their resources taken. Most billionaires take stuff from outer islands and build their factories in Java, but Lohia does both in the same place. The impact on local communities was massive. Areas around his Sumatra factory saw household incomes grow 35% faster than similar regions without manufacturing. That's real money in people's pockets, not just profits for shareholders. What made this possible? Infrastructure. Lohia picked Sumatra because it actually had decent ports and a power grid that could support manufacturing. Most eastern islands don't have this basic stuff, so they can't attract factories even if they wanted to. This shows what could happen if Indonesia invested more in infrastructure across all its islands. Right now, Java gets 58% of natural infrastructure funding, even though it only has 56% of the population. The other islands get less than their fair share, which is why they stay poor. Lohia proved you can make serious money with factories outside Java if the government would just build the infrastructure to make it possible. 5. Anthony Salim and family, $12.8 billion. Number 5 is the Salim family with $12.8 billion from the Salim Group. These guys have a completely different strategy from other Indonesian billionaires when it comes to where they make money. Most Indonesian rich people stick to one single area, but the Salim family is literally everywhere. They run Indomaret, this massive convenience store chain with over 18,000 locations across all 34 provinces. That's like having a store on every corner of the entire country. Their Indo food company makes those instant noodles that everyone eats. You'll find their products in homes from Aceh all the way to Papua. They're one of the few billionaire families whose stuff you can buy no matter where you live in Indonesia. But here's where it gets a little weird. Even though their products are everywhere, 85% of their profits go right back to Jakarta headquarters and shareholders in Java. They sell everywhere but keep almost all of the money in one place. The Salim strategy shows exactly how Indonesian wealth works. It's like a wheel with Java as the hub. Products and services go to all the islands, but the money flows right back to the center. This explains why Java has 50% of Indonesia's population but controls 78% of its GDP. Even when businesses operate across the entire country, the profits still end up in Java. The outer islands get the products, but Java gets the money. 4. Wijaya family, $18.9 billion. At number 4, we've got the Wijaya family with $18.9 billion through their Sinar Mas Group. What makes these guys different is how they use land to build wealth in Indonesia. Most billionaires own buildings or factories, but the Wijayas control something way bigger. They have over 2.6 million hectares of palm oil plantations across Sumatra and Kalimantan. That's literally larger than the entire island of Bali. Think about that. They own more land than a whole famous island. Their Asia pulp and paper business is huge too, with operations in both Sumatra and Java. This makes them one of the few super-rich families with major production facilities on multiple islands instead of just sticking to Java. But their geographic strategy came with some serious problems. Environmental groups say their plantations destroy about 2 million hectares of rainforest, mostly in Sumatra and Kalimantan. That's a lot of trees gone forever. The Wijaya wealth shows how Indonesian billionaires make the most money. They control land and outer islands, but keep their processing facilities in Java. This creates the biggest fortunes in the country. This business model explains why Indonesia's outer islands stay stuck as raw material producers, while Java gets all the valuable manufacturing. This creates a huge wealth gap between islands that's gotten 26% worse since 2000. Rich islands get richer, and the poor islands, well, they stay poor. 3. Tuck Kwong, $27 billion. Number 3 on our list is Tuck Kwong with $27 billion from Bayan Resources. This guy completely breaks all the rules of how Indonesian billionaires make money. He's like the rebel of the super rich. Most billionaires put their headquarters in Jakarta, but Lo based his entire coal mining operations in East Kalimantan. He built one of Indonesia's biggest fortunes outside the main islands, where everyone else makes money. His mines in Kalimantan dig up 35 million tons of coal every year. But here's the really interesting part. He actually reinvests his profit locally instead of sending all the money to Java, like most resource billionaires do. That's almost unheard of in Indonesia. This strategy made him the richest person in East Kalimantan by far. His wealth equals about 25% of the entire province's GDP. Just one guy has a quarter of all the money in the region. That's some extreme concentration of wealth. Lo's success shows something important about Indonesia. Natural resources can create billions in outer islands, but that doesn't mean everyone there gets rich. East Kalimantan has Indonesia's highest GDP per capita, but also huge inequality. The average person isn't doing that well. His story explains why Indonesia's resource-rich outer islands have billionaires but stay poor overall. The wealth stays in very few hands instead of spreading throughout the economy. Lo gets super rich, but most people around him simply do not. 2. Prajogo Pangestu, $32.5 billion. Number 2 on our list is Prajogo Pangestu with $32.5 billion from Barito Pacific. This guy's empire shows exactly why some parts of Indonesia get rich while others stay poor. Pangestu has businesses everywhere. Petrochemicals in Java, timber in Kalimantan, and geothermal energy in Sumatra. He's one of the few Indonesian billionaires with major operations across multiple islands, but there's a pattern here that explains everything about Indonesia's economy. All his high-value stuff is in Java, while the outer islands just get their resources taken away. I'm sure you're starting to see a pattern here. His company, Chandra Asri, runs Indonesia's biggest petrochemical complex in Java, creating thousands of good jobs there. Meanwhile, Kalimantan just gets trees cut down without getting the good jobs. It's like Pangestu takes the ingredients from the outer islands but cooks the valuable meal in Java. The outer islands provide the raw materials but don't get any of the valuable processing jobs. This strategy explains why Java dominates Indonesia's economy. Even when the resources come from places like Kalimantan or Sumatra, all the value-adding activities happen in Java. That's why Indonesia has this persistent development gap. Java gets all the high-value industries, while the outer islands stay stuck just extracting resources. This creates a 43% income gap between these regions. Java gets richer, while the other islands just simply can't catch up. 1. Arbudi and Michael Hartono, $50.3 billion. And at number 1, we've got the Hartono brothers with $50.3 billion, Indonesia's biggest fortune by far. These guys control so much money, it's actually insane, and where they put it tells the whole story of Indonesia's economy. The brothers started with a cigarette company called Jarum in central Java, but now they're into everything. Banking, telecommunications, you name it. The crazy part? They put almost everything in Java and Bali. Like 92% of their investments stay in Java, while other islands get almost nothing. Most Indonesian billionaires at least pretend to care about the outer islands, but the Hartonos don't even bother. They just doubled down on Java and got super rich doing it. Their bank, BCA, has branches everywhere, over 1,200 across Indonesia. But check this out. 76% of their loans go to businesses in Java, even though, as we stated before, Java only has 56% of Indonesia's population. The other islands literally can't get money to grow. The Hartonos proved something important. You don't need to spread out across Indonesia to get rich. Just focusing on Java creates the biggest fortune in the country. Their success shows why Indonesia's development is so uneven. The richest families keep investing in already rich places like Java, making them even richer, while the outer islands keep falling behind. It's a cycle that simply never ends. When you look at the actual numbers, it's pretty obvious what's going on in Indonesia. About 78% of billionaire money sits in Java, even though only 56% of Indonesians live there. That creates one of Asia's most unbalanced economies. This explains why Indonesia develops so unevenly. Billionaires take resources from outer islands, but build all their valuable businesses in Java. The good jobs stay in Java, while the other islands just get their stuff taken away. Indonesia's government is trying to fix this by moving the capital from Jakarta to East Kalimantan. But will billionaires actually move their money there too? Well, that's the $150 billion question nobody can answer yet.